الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وفقها في الدين يا رب العالمين وألحقنا بعبادك الصالحين. يقول الله عز وجل: يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين وإن كنتم جنبا فاطهروا إلى آخر الآية. We continue inshallah on page number 49 of Kitab Athar Sunan. So far we discussed madhi, we discussed mani, we discussed the urine of a child, and we said it is definitely najis according to us and it must be washed. Now we go on to the chapter on those animals which we are allowed to eat. Which animals are you allowed to eat? Generally talking cattle. Okay, cattle and for example, cows, sheep, goat, buffaloes, bulls, anything which is allowed if slaughtered in the correct manner Islamically, then you are allowed to eat. So that animal, its urine or its stool, according to the Sharia, according to the Hanafi madhab at least here, it is considered najasa khafifa. What is najasa khafifa? A light type of najasa, a light type of impurity and filth. So it's not the same filth as a normal person's filth or an animal which is not allowed to eat. For example, a cheetah. Okay? A cheetah, a lion, any example you can give, an animal which you're not allowed to eat. Yeah? Any predatory animals. Their urine and their stool is the same as humans' urine and human stool. The hukum shari is the same. Whereas those animals which you are more, the possibility of you interacting with them is much more, which is those animals which you generally keep, livestock. Those, their urine and their stool and their dung is lesser of a category. Now, when we say lesser of a category, of course, here there is slight ikhtilaf, not that there's no ikhtilaf. There is slight ikhtilaf. Imam Malik, Imam Ahmad, and Muhammad bin Hassan al-Shaybani from the Hanafi madhab. Okay, but this is not the Hanafi madhab's opinion. It's one of the students in the Hanafi madhab. This is his opinion. So Imam Malik, Imam Ahmad, they say it is pure. The dung and the urine of an animal, it's on footnote number 56. Yeah, the footnote number 56. So the dung of an animal who can be eaten, what is eaten, like a cow, sheep, goat, their dung or their urine is pure according to Imam Malik and Imam Ahmad and Muhammad bin Hassan al-Shaybani from the Hanafi madhab. But the fatwa and the majority of the ulama, the Shafi'i madhab, the Hanafi madhab, Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Abu Yusuf, his greatest student, all of them and the vast majority according to Ibn Hajar, they say, no, it is absolutely impure. It is impure, but impure of a lesser category, like najasa khafifa, like I said. It's a lesser type of filth. Now, what do they mean by lesser type of filth? It means that more of it is tolerated. So, for example, if my blazer here, a quarter of the blazer is filled with najasa, then in that, if filled with the urine of a cow or a goat, yeah, then in that case, I won't be allowed to pray with this garment. If it's less than a quarter, then it's allowed. Why? Because you're normally, in those times, normally you're all the time, you're interacting with these animals all the time, every time. So if you give the hukum to be too shadid, too strong, then it will become impossible for people to live. Okay? Especially back in those days. Nowadays, of course, we try to keep off. We're not farmers. No one's farmers here. Those who are farmers, this can apply to them as well. Even until today, it can apply to them. So here, now, you'll be surprised. The hadith that he brings forth here. So let's finish the. So normally, a human, if his urine or if his stool is on your poop or on your body, more than 50, or the size of 50 pence, then your salah is batil. Yeah, your salah is batil. Whereas if the najasa of a cow or a cattle, any livestock, it's more than 50 pence, is not a problem, as long as it doesn't cover a quarter of the limb. So either the quarter of the limb or quarter of the garment that it's on. That it's on. So this is what is meant by najasa khafifa. Najasa khafifa, light impurity. Now, the hadith that he brings forth here, it doesn't prove. Okay, وعن البراء رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا بأس ببول ما أكل لحمه. There's nothing wrong with that which the meat can be eaten, meaning the animal which the meat can be eaten if it's slaughtered in the halal way. So the urine of the animal, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what the hadith is saying. But رواه الدارقطني وضعفه وفي الباب عن جابر وإسناده واهٍ جدا. Imam Daraqutni, he narrated it and he said this hadith is weak. This hadith is weak. So basically what the author is doing, Allama Nimawi is doing, he is providing you this hadith that is normally given evidence by the Malikis, by Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal and by Imam Muhammad bin Hassan al-Shaybani. They see this hadith and they use it as proof to say that the urine of the livestock is not impure. Okay, meaning it's pure. It's pure. Okay, this is their dalil. Now, Imam Daraqutni, when he narrated this hadith, he said this hadith is weak. That's the first thing. Secondly, وَفِي الْبَابِ عَنْ جَابِرٍ, on this chapter, there is another narration by Jabir radiallahu anhu, another companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and that isnad is also wahin. Okay, that isnad is also very weak. Not just weak, it's very weak. So this meaning this hadith that he's brought forward for the dalil of the Malikis and Hanbalis, this hadith is still stronger than the hadith of Jabir, which is a support for this hadith. The other hadith is even weaker. Wahim jidda. Now, you might say, what is the problem with this? Here, it mentions, Imam Daraqutni says, one of the narrators, Sawar ibn Mus'ab, is matruk in hadith. His hadiths are rejected. His hadiths are rejected by the muhaddithin. Sawar ibn Mus'ab is found in this hadith. Then you find another chain, Amr ibn Hussain and Yahya ibn Ala, considered them to be weak. Okay, these two narrators that are found in this chain are also weak. Daraqutni said not reliable. Yahya is a liar and fabricates hadith. So this hadith cannot be used as proof in Sharia. So therefore, very clearly, those who say that the urine and the dung of livestock is impure, their evidence is much stronger than those who say that the livestock's urine and dung is pure. Okay? Any questions here? So we said a quarter, a maximum amount that is tolerated on a tube or a pant or any garment. The maximum amount can be a quarter of that garment. Hanafis, yes. It's pure. They said it's pure. Yeah, that's wrong. That would be a wrong opinion. Well, according to them, it will be correct. I'm sure they have other adillah, other evidences that they prove their opinion with. But the vast majority of the ulama, including the Shafi'i, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Abu Hanifa, and Imam Abu Yusuf, as well as majority of the ummah, they say it is impure. impure. Okay, it is impure. Sorry. Small tops is definitely tolerated because a quarter of the garment. They give a maximum of a quarter of the garment or a quarter of the limb of the body. So, for example, a quarter of your feet is less than a quarter. It's just a small couple of drops. Fine. It should be completely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. The next hadith, the next chapter we go into, Babun fi najasati rawf. That. So now our dalils are coming now. Okay, our dalils are coming. The Hanafis, the Shafis, and Imam Abu Yusuf. وعن عبد الله رضي الله عنه. Who is Abdullah? Just generally, when Abdullah comes in hadith, it refers to Ibn Mas'ud. Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. It doesn't refer to Ibn Umar. It doesn't refer to Ibn Abbas. It doesn't refer to Ibn Zubayr or many other Abdullahs that were there. Yes, because of his weight, yes. Yes. And his level of worship as well. He was known as Abdullah for a reason. Abdullah. So Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he was the mufti of the Sahaba. And Sahaba knew how knowledgeable he was. So وعن عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله عنه قال أتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الغائط فأمرني أن آتيه بثلاثة أحجار فوجدت حجرين والتمست الثالثة فلم أجد فأخذت روثة فأتيته بها فأخذ الحجرين وألقى الروثة وقال هذا ركس رواه البخاري. So no need to go into the authenticity of this. Yeah. So the hadith here very clearly is in Bukhari. It's on the authority of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he would go to relieve himself, he would tell the younger companions to go and get him stones to clean himself. So back in the days, they never had tissue. So the only way to clean themselves thoroughly was to use water plus stones. Okay, that would be the best way to clean yourself. Even if you go back in the Bangladesh, you'll see those small stones. So this is what he's referring to. So Rasulullah commanded Ibn Mas'ud to go and get him 3 stones. He found 2 stones that were like mud stones. This is called mud stones, not just stones. Okay, this is mud stones. Okay, so what these mud stones do is basically they absorb, like tissue absorbs water. These mud stones, they absorb the filth. Okay, yes, it sucks it up basically. So فوجدت حجرين. I only found 2 stones, and then I found another piece which was dung. It looked like maybe a mud stone, but it was actually dung. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used those 2, but he threw away the dung piece. Okay, he threw away the dung piece, saying this is riks. Riks means impure, filth. Okay, this is impure and filthy. So this is very clear. The hadith makes it very clear in Bukhari that to use dung to clean yourself is you're using impurity to clean impurity. So therefore, it shows in this hadith that dung is impure. With Rasulullah's words, plus the fact that you can't clean impurity with impurity. You have to clean something pure, something which is impure, isn't it? You have to clean with something which is pure. So here, it is not allowed to clean with dung. So therefore, very clearly, we find the dalil that Rasulullah himself said it is impure. And he did not use it, he threw it away. He only used 2 stones instead. The ones that were brought by Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. Right. So here, the droppings of cattle, camels, horses, donkeys, mules, goats, sheep, all these categories, yeah? All these categories are included. Camels, horses, donkeys, mules, goats, sheep, all these were normally kept by people in those days. Right. Next, we go on to Babu fi anna ma la nafsa lahu sa'ilatun la yunjasu bil mawti. Anything which doesn't have flowing blood. Anything which doesn't have flowing blood. I gave the definition before. I don't know if you remember in my Qurbani lectures. It doesn't become najis with its death. For example, a fish in the ocean, if they die and they start floating on top of the sea, a fish is najis in that case, if it dies. It's not. You can still eat it. Yeah, it might be harmful. You better not eat it. But is it halal? You understand? Is it okay to eat it? It's okay to eat it. Why? Because it doesn't have flowing blood. What do we mean by flowing blood? Flowing blood, when they say flowing blood in Sharia, حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةُ وَالدَّمُ وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ. What dam refers to when an animal is slaughtered, the blood that gushes out. The blood that gushes out with force. That's an animal with blood. Whereas a fish, if you were to cut a fish, that blood won't squirt out. You understand? The blood of that fish will not squirt out, will not gush out. Yes, it has like a reddish texture, and then later on it becomes like jelly. After you leave it for a while, you leave the fish like that, it becomes like black jelly. It's not blood. Okay, that's not considered as the blood that we're talking about, the flowing blood, the blood that comes out gushing. So any insect, any animal that doesn't have this type of gushing out blood, if they die, then they are not considered najis. They are not considered najis. Why? This is the dalil. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا وقع الذباب في شراب أحدكم فليغمسه ثم لينزعه فإن في أحد جناحيه داء وفي الآخر شفاء. رواه البخاري. Here, Imam Bukhari narrates on the authority of Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه, when a fly falls into one of your drinks, one of your liquids, okay? Drink, water, tea, it may be anything, coffee, okay? It falls into one of them. Let him submerge it completely. Let him submerge the fly completely. Now the fly, we know, it is not an insect which has flowing blood. Flowing blood, that's the condition. Can't have flowing blood. So here Rasulullah is saying, if it dies inside your drink, then dip it in completely. Dip it in that tea, or dip it in that water, or dip it in the drink completely. Why? He gave the reason why. And this is a scientific miracle as well. فَإِنَّ فِي أَحَدِ جَنَاحَيْهِ دَاءٌ. For indeed, in one of the wings of the fly, there is disease. There is disease. وَفِي الْآخَرِ شِفَاءٌ. And in the other one, there's the antidote of that disease. There's the antidote of that disease. So, the fly, when he goes into the fly, when it falls into your tea, he goes in with which wing? The one with the poison. Yes. The one with the poison. That's why Rasulullah said, make sure you dip the other side of the wing, meaning dip the whole fly completely inside. Otherwise, what you are going to be drinking is going to become toxic inside. If you were to drink in that day, you don't have any other option. Generally you won't. But let's say you didn't see it. You do see it, then do that. Inshallah, you won't be affected. And this is even scientifically a miracle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from hadith. Okay, that the fly does go in with the wing which is poisonous, or with the wing which has the disease, and on the other side of the wing is where the cure of that disease is. Okay, subhanallah. I mean, think about this hadith. 1400 years ago, in the middle of a desert, how did Rasulullah know this? Besides being from wahi, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not possible. It's not possible a human says these things and they come out to be true miraculously in the 21st century after 1400 years. SubhanAllah. So these hadiths are a miracle in and of themselves. Just like the Quran is a miracle. Babu najasatil hayd. Najasati damil hayd, sorry. The impurity of blood of menstruation. So when women go through their monthly periods, the blood that which comes out from the menstrual period is najasa. So here he's going to give us two hadiths on that. عن أسماء رضي الله عن أسماء قالت جاءت امرأة إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقالت إحدانا يصيب ثوبها من دم الحيضة كيف تصنع به؟ قالت تحته ثم تقرصه بالماء ثم تنضحه ثم تصلي فيه. رواه الشيخان. Imam Bukhari and Muslim narrate in their books of Sahih on the authority of Asma, a woman came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, so back in the days, they probably didn't have pads and stuff like that we have nowadays. Alhamdulillah, our women folk are very lucky in that sense. But if the blood of hayd falls on their clothes, the question was asked by a Sahabiya, if my blood of my hayd, of my menstrual period, if it falls on my clothes, what should I do? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, rub it, use water and rub it thoroughly, scratch it, rub it, scrape it, ثُمَّ تَنْضَحُهُ, and then put water on it, and then pray, meaning clean it thoroughly. That's what it means. Clean it thoroughly, and then pray with that clothing. There's no problem. As long as the blood stain isn't there, and the najasa is gone, then your salah will be valid with that clothing. This hadith is in Bukhari. So what's the dalil? The dalil here is that Rasulullah said, what's the dalil of it being najis? Of the period blood being najis? It is when Rasulullah said that it has to be washed. The washing itself, the process of washing, otherwise Rasulullah wouldn't say to wash it. You understand? So for Rasulullah to say that to wash it and to wash it thoroughly, squeeze it, rub it, scrape it, all those things he used in order to make it more clear that this blood has to be taken out. Otherwise, your salah will not be valid with those clothes. So the next hadith, وعن أم قيس بنت محصن سألت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن دم الحيض يكون في الثوب قال حكيه بضلع. Might be a mistake. Allahu a'lam. ضلع normally refers to rib. No? The hadith of the woman being the most crooked part of the rib. ضلع comes there. Here, Allahu a'lam, it might be hil or something. In the footnote number 59, it's HIL, so I'm not sure. واغسليه بماء وسدر رواه أبو داود والنسائي وابن ماجه وابن خزيمة وابن حبان وإسناده صحيح. Okay, so this is narrated in so many books of hadith, and here one of the companions, one of the female companions of Rasulullah came, and she asked about the blood of hayd, blood of menstrual period that falls on a garment, a cloth, a pants, clothes, whatever. قال حكيه بضلع, rub it with a stick. He translated as stick or a flank of the clothing, the end part of the clothing. وَغْسِلِيهِ بِمَاءٍ وَسِدْرٍ, and wash it with water and sidr here refers to low tree leaves in order to take out the smell. So that's what they would probably use for soap back then. So this was the case. Meaning, so here again, the dalil is very clear that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam very clearly said that scrape it off, wash it, and wash it thoroughly to take out the smell even. Okay, so this clearly proves that the blood of hayd is definitely impure and has to be washed thoroughly. And this hadith is sahih. Ibn Hajar says in his Talkhis, Ibn Qattan said, its transmission is of the highest degree of authenticity. I do not know of any defect in this hadith. Okay, inshallah, let's move on. Babul adha yusibun na'al. If any impurity afflicts the khuf or your clothes, even your, you can apply it to sandals, you can apply it to boots, you can apply it to shoes, you can apply it to anything. Okay, here the hadith comes as khufay, as khuf, leather socks, but it can be applied to anything which you can walk on. So for example, some najasa gets some type of urine. You didn't see, you just walked over urine, and then you saw the marks dribbling down from the road. in the corner of the road that somebody definitely urinated and you walked through the urine. You only realized afterwards. Or, for example, in the park, some dog poo or something gets onto your shoes, you know. So here, the hadith very clearly states that the way that you can, one of the ways that you can clean it is with soil. Soil is a purifier, as long as you clean it thoroughly, of course. Okay, this is talking about cleaning it thoroughly, very thoroughly. So, as long as you rub it against the soil, clean soil, then the mud, or the soil would take away the remnants of the dung or urine that got onto your shoes. Okay, this is the hadith. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا وطئ الأذى بخفيه فطهورهما التراب رواه أبو داود وإسناده حسن وعنده له شاهد بمعناه من حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها. Here, the hadith is in Abu Dawood, and the hadith level of authenticity is sound, authentic, acceptable. And there's other hadiths that corroborate this hadith on the authority of Aisha. So it's not just the hadith of Abu Hurairah, but Aisha has a very similar hadith to this. What's the hadith? إذا وطئ الأذى, if a person walks over or steps on any impurity with his leather socks, then فَطُهُورُهُمَا التُّرَابُ, the soil, the clean soil is its purity, meaning the clean soil can be used to clean, meaning when you rub it against the clean soil, the impurity will go away. The impurity will go away of the cow poo or whatever, cow, cattle, dog, whatever it may be. Any type of najasa on your feet or on your shoes, it can be taken away with soil. Yeah, this hadith is in Ibn Hibban. He said it is sahih. Al-Hakim also said this is, in his Mustadrak, he also said it is sahih. One of the narrators in this hadith, Muhammad ibn Kathir, he does make some mistakes, but at the bare minimum, the hadith will still, because he's an upright person and he's a truthful narrator, at the bare minimum, this hadith is at least Hasan. At least Hasan. And then when there's hadith Hasan plus another hadith Hasan, of course it's going to go on to the level of Sahih li ghayrihi. Sahih li ghayrihi. We've done this in the beginning couple of lectures. So this can be used as evidence. And this is part of the Hanafi madhab as well. One of the ways of cleaning is with turab. Babu ma ja'a fi fadli tuhur al-mar'a. You can see, because there's no ikhtilaf here, you can move on with this hadith quicker. Okay? It's much easier to go and move on with this hadith. Because it's very clear, majority of the ulama, they agree with all of this. Majority of the ulama. If there's any ikhtilaf, he'll mention it. He'll mention it on the footnotes or something. Babu ma ja'a fi fadli tuhur al-mar'a. Now, when a woman is, so, let's say there's a bucket there full of water. A man comes, he makes wudu. Okay? After him, a woman comes, makes wudu. Now, how do they make wudu? Back in the days, they used to use a bucket and a jug. So they would, even in Morocco, if you go to Morocco nowadays, you go to like fairs, you see they have a tap. You take the tap, you take as much as water as you can in your bucket, and you use it from your bucket with a cup. That's the sunnah. That's the actual sunnah. That's the way that it should be done. That way, you don't waste water. You don't use too much water when it's unnecessary, like we do. This is why many of the ulama say this is why we don't find peace and tranquility in our salah, because of the amount of water that we use. The water that's supposed to be used in wudu is probably like half a liter. Yeah, bottle of water. Literally a bottle of water. Half a liter. Maybe just a bit more than half a liter. Maulana Yusuf Mutala Sahib, he's got a whole, like a copper one with his full sanad. Yeah, you can buy it from Azhar Academy. Really nice. I've got it myself, alhamdulillah. I've got it gifted by my missus. But alhamdulillah. The point is, if you want to use that one, you can use that one out of sunnah. But if you've got a problem with copper, some people are allergic to copper, then rather refrain. Rather refrain. Some people are sensitive. That's why nowadays you have to be very careful with what you use. But anyway, the point is the quantity of the water must be limited. You shouldn't put the taps on full, like what happens in the wudu khana sometimes. Unfortunately, people don't understand that water is a great, great, great blessing. Think about the people in Gaza now. Suffering big time. No water, no nothing. No clean water, no drinking water. So Allah forbid, Allah forbid us from being in those situations. But the thing is, water is a great, great, great ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't just waste it. Don't just, even Rasulullah said, even if you're at a river, flowing river, not just any river, even if you are at a flowing river, you shouldn't still be wasting water. When there's unlimited water, you still shouldn't be wasting water unnecessarily. Khair, inshallah. So basically here, the example, I want to give you the example first before we go in the hadith, because you're going to be like, what are these hadiths actually talking about? So the example is, if there's a bucket of water, a woman used this water, so she took out jugs and she used to make wudu for herself. Then later on, a man comes along and he uses that same water that's inside the bucket, he uses the same water from that bucket and he makes wudu. Is this completely allowed? According to the Hanafis, it's allowed, but yet there's slight dislike. To it. Why? Because of, we'll go through those, inshallah. We'll go through those reasons. So the first hadith we have here, عن الحكم بن عمرو الغفاري رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نهى أن يتوضأ الرجل بفضل طهور المرأة رواه الخمسة وآخرون وحسنه الترمذي وصححه ابن حبان. So here, this hadith is narrated in Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, Ibn Hibban. And Imam Tirmidhi said it is Hasan, and Imam Ibn Hibban said it is Sahih. So more or less, this hadith is authentic. This hadith is definitely authentic. Now, what is the hadith? That Rasulullah forbade a man to make wudu from the leftover water that was left inside the bucket. You remember how I explained it? The leftover water that was left after wudu of a woman was left there. Yeah, the bucket, whatever remaining water that was there. A man came afterwards and he made wudu. So that leftover wudu water, clean water. It's not musta'mal water. Don't misunderstand it to be to used water. It's not used water, unused water. But a woman already took out water and she made wudu with that water. Okay? The Hanafi madhab generally, they don't accept this hadith. Okay? They don't accept this hadith. But I'll tell you the reason why. So here, the hadith more or less is authentic. And here, naha Rasulullah. Rasulullah forbade a man to make wudu with the leftover water of a woman. The next hadith is very similar. وعن حميد الحميري قال لقيت رجلا صحب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم 4 سنين. I met a man who met Rasulullah for 4 years, who accompanied Rasulullah for 4 years, just like the accompanying of Abu Hurairah. So he even described how the company was, meaning he was very close to Rasulullah. He was very close to Rasulullah. Just like Abu Hurairah was very close to Rasulullah in knowing all the details of the Sharia, or trying to find out all the details of the Sharia. So, لَقِيتُ رَجُلًا صَحِبَ النَّبِيَّ صلى الله عليه وسلم 4 سنين, 4 years he was with Rasulullah. كما صحبه أبو هريرة رضي الله عنه قال نهى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أن تغتسل المرأة بفضل الرجل ويغتسل الرجل بفضل المرأة وليغترفا جميعا. Rasulullah prohibited that a woman use the leftover water of a man, and a woman use the leftover water of a woman. A woman use the leftover water of a man, and a man use the leftover water of a woman. So, وَلْيَغْتَرِفَا جَمِيعًا, and for them to both take water out at one of the same time. So one's taking out the water from this with one jug from that side, and one's taking out water from this side. Now here it becomes a problem. رواه أبو داود والنسائي وإسناده صحيح. This isnad is narrated in Abu Dawud and Nasa'i, and it is also authentic. Now, here, look, this is now why hadith studies is a very technical subject. Look at this. Imam al-Bukhari, the previous hadith that we said, that is narrated in Abu Dawud. Look, how many books it's narrated in? Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, Ibn Hibban. 5 books. 5 books. 2 of the scholars even authenticated it. Imam Tirmidhi said Hasan. Ibn Hibban said Sahih. Imam Bukhari says it's not authentic. You see the problem? Imam Bukhari says it's not authentic. According to him, it's not authentic. It's narrated in 5 of the mother books, 5 of the great books of hadith, and authenticated by other scholars. Whereas Imam Bukhari is on the other side, and he says, no, this hadith is not authentic, according to him. Although Imam Tirmidhi, his student, he said it is Hasan. So here, probably Imam Abu Hanifa was of that opinion, of that which Imam Bukhari is. He probably didn't authenticate these hadiths, or he saw a problem with these hadiths in some way or another. Okay, that's why he didn't accept this hadith, that a woman's leftover water can be used by a man, and a man's leftover water can be used by a woman, according to the Hanafis. But these hadiths apparently show that it is forbidden. Okay, so maybe one of the ta'wils can be, one of the interpretations can be, it wasn't allowed at a certain period, but later on it was made allowed. Permission was given. Why? Because of these hadiths. Look, عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يغتسل بفضل ميمونة. كان يغتسل بفضل ميمونة. رواه مسلم. Maimuna was the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He used to use the leftover water of Maimuna radiallahu anha after she had a ghusl. So same thing, they would use the bucket for ghusl. They would take out water with jugs for ghusl, for having a full bath, full shower. Well, back in the days, they would use jug instead of the shower head that we have nowadays. So the water that was left inside the bucket, Rasulullah would use it for his ghusl. There was no issue. So here, Maimuna radiallahu anha are in the last years of Rasulullah's life. So therefore, it clearly makes it clear that perhaps these hadiths that are of prohibition were at the earlier stage, more or less. Okay, that might be one case. It's a possibility. I'm not saying this is a clear, definitive, because end of the day, you got ulama on both sides. Okay, so let's carry on, inshallah. وعنه قال اغتسل بعض أزواج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في جفنة فجاء النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ليتوضأ منها أو يغتسل فقالت له يا رسول الله إني كنت جنبا فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الماء لا يجنب رواه أبو داود وآخرون وصححه الترمذي وابن خزيمة. Look, Ibn Khuzaymah says it is Sahih. Tirmidhi says it is Sahih. Imam Abu Dawud narrated it, and many others narrated it also. One of the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she had a bath from a tub of water. Rasulullah came and he wanted to make wudu from the leftover water. This is talking about the leftover water. Don't the person might misunderstand it if he just reads the Arabic. Okay, you have to understand it in context. Okay, the leftover water, so she didn't dip inside the tub or something. Okay, this is a tub of water that was there in a vessel that she used to take out water and have a bath. And then the leftover water, Rasulullah wanted to come and make wudu, or he wanted to come and make ghusl of that water. So she was like, according to her, that you're not allowed to use the leftover water. Rasulullah said, the water doesn't become impure. The water doesn't become impure. Innal ma'a la yajnubu. Rawahu Abu Dawud. So this is the opinion of Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, and Sufyan al-Thawri. Okay, they base their opinion on this hadith. That the water does not become impure. Okay, here. قال النموي اختلفوا في التوفيق بين الأحاديث فجمع بعضهم بحمل النهي على التنزيه. Very clearly. Here. Reconciling the hadiths that say prohibition and reconciling between the hadith which say it is completely allowed. So here we found 2 hadiths which prohibit it. It's not allowed. A woman is not allowed to use, a man is not allowed to use the leftover water of a woman. Whereas we find other hadiths that are also authentic in Muslim and in Ibn Khuzaymah and in Abu Dawud, that they are authentic also. Both categories are authentic. Now, so here he says the way to reconcile between these 2 categories of hadiths is The hadiths that say that it is prohibited, this is referring to makruh tanzihi. Makruh tanzihi, meaning it's a light dislikeness from the Sharia. Okay? Meaning it's preferred not to do it. It's like khilaful awla. Like khilaful awla. It's preferred not to do it. So because of khawful fitna, okay, that's one thing that they mention. Because of fear of some type of fitna, if she's an ajnabi woman especially, that might be the case. Okay. Others say because of ma tasaqata min al-a'dha, of the water that splashes off from when you're making ghusl or when you're making wudu, the water that splashes off into the bucket, that so any water that you use for wudu or ghusl which is necessary ghusl, yeah, necessary ghusl. We're talking about necessary ghusl after intimacy, basically, more or less, or after a wet dream. That's the clear understanding here. Now that water, if it falls into something, menstruation as well, yeah, menstruation, period, any after nifas, after postnatal bleeding, after a kid is born, and after that comes to an end and she has a ghusl, yeah, all those, any necessary ghusls, basically. Not sunnah ghusl. Anyway, so this water, because we consider this to be ibadah, so when we make wudu, it's ibadah. So when the water comes out, you know, in the hadith, it mentions that every single drop of water that comes out of your face onto your beard and falls out of your beard, all your sins are being forgiven continuously with each and every single droplet coming out of your face, coming out of your arms, coming out of your head, coming out of your feet. Okay? All your sins are being continuously forgiven by you making wudu every single day, 5 times a day. Okay? That was the sunnah of Rasulullah generally. Rasulullah would make wudu upon wudu as well. Okay? Each salah time, he'd make a new wudu, even if he had wudu. Okay? This was the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So here, so he's saying the prohibition, those hadiths which mention prohibition, is probably maybe because of the water that falls off into the bucket. This water that falls off is considered in the Sharia as used water. Used water. So that used water, when it falls off into the bucket, now it's going to become problematic. Okay? Because you're not supposed to use musta'mal water, used water. But of course, if the used water is less than the water which is there inside the bucket, it won't be. So it will be considered as, depending on the majority of which water it is. The majority of that water inside the bucket is used water, musta'mal water, then you will not be able to make ghusl or another wudu from that water. But if it is less than half, then you're completely allowed to use that musta'mal, even if some droplets of musta'mal water fall into there. But again, this karaha is going to be karaha tanzihiyya. Tanzihiyya. This makruh will be slight dislikeness, not too much. Not disliked such a degree where you're going to be sinful or something and your wudu is not going to be done. Your wudu will be done. Your wudu and your ghusl will be done. Okay? لكونه صار مستعملا والجواز على ما بقي من الماء وبذلك جمع الخطابي. And this is the way Imam al-Khattabi, one of the commentators, one of the earliest, he's the first ever commentator of hadith literature. Imam al-Khattabi. Imam al-Khattabi al-Shafi'i al-Ash'ari. So he was the Ash'ari in Aqidah, he was the Shafi'i in Madhab. Okay? Very clearly. He was the first known commentator of hadith literature. He has a commentary on Abu Dawood, very small commentary, very lovely. What you would go and find in bigger commentaries, you literally go and find there. All the ikhtilafs and everything, all the minor stuff that you find when you're a student of knowledge, all the important stuff that you need is inside there. Alhamdulillah, I had a look at it a couple of times when I was in my Dawrah Hadith here, and it was amazing. Literally, that's all you needed. For Dawrah Hadith, that's all you needed. You didn't need any more. It's only in 2 volumes. Not a big sharh. Small sharh, but the amount of information that's there and the ikhtilafs and everything that's there, absolutely amazing. Phenomenal job. It's like students' notes. More like students' notes than commentary. Subhanallah. So Imam al-Khattabi, he is a Shafi'i, and this is the way he made jama' between these hadiths. Okay? And we go on to the next chapter, inshallah. Babu ma ja'a fi tathhir ad-dibagh. So in the Hanafi madhab, I told you this, it's not an issue. Yeah, that's the water, leftover water of a woman or a man is not an issue. It's completely permissible to use. Whereas this is also the opinion of Imam Malik and Imam Shafi'i. Then we go into the new chapter, inshallah. Babu ma ja'a fi tathhiri dibagh. Tanning as a method of purification. So, if an animal is dead, for example, an animal which you're allowed to use, yes? Even if you're not allowed to, even if you're not allowed to use, for example, a tiger, a lion, you found it dead. Can you use the skin of the animal and then tan the animal's skin and use it as a carpet, use it as a rug? You can use it. You can use it. Because tanning requires you to take out all the impurities from the skin. Okay? The process of tanning requires you to take out all the impurities within the skin. So therefore, the impurities doesn't stay. Impurities doesn't stay. Therefore, you can use the skin of animals for tanning. So if it's a dead animal, for example, a sheep, you found a dead sheep, can you use the wool of that sheep? You can use the wool. The wool is not haram. Only that which is, if the animal is dead, like a sheep is dead, you're not allowed to eat the sheep. Yes, to eat the sheep is haram because it's a dead sheep. You're not allowed to eat dead animals. حرمت عليكم الميتة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited upon you to eat dead animals. Dead animals are haram. Okay? So, dead animals are absolutely haram. But can you use their skin and use it to tan it and purify it through tanning? Yes, you can. Of course. Yes. Apart from pork. Apart from the swine. Okay? The pig. Pig cannot be purified with anything. Okay? Pig cannot be purified at all. Human skin and pig skin is absolutely haram in any case, in all cases. Okay? In all cases. Human skin because of karama. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We gave honor, great honor and dignity to the Bani Adam, to the sons of Adam. All the progeny of Adam alayhi salam. And this is part of us. He's our father. All the sons of Adam are honored and dignified. So therefore, their skin is also honored in that way, should be honored in that way. So it cannot be used for anything. Likewise, I mean, unless it's necessary. For example, you went into a car accident and then 1 year. That's because of some deficiency that occurred on one part. For example, your arm got really damaged and they need to take some skin from your leg in order to mend the arm and make it look human-like, at least, in a normal way. That's completely allowed. That's completely allowed. That's jaiz. Necessity only, yes. Only necessity. Only in the case of necessity. Inshallah. Let's read the ahadith and then gonna come along. وعن ابن عباس رضي الله عنه قال تصدق على مولاة لميمونة بشاة فماتت فمر بها. So sheep. You is a female sheep. Yeah. So a female sheep was given as sadaqah, was given as charity to a mawla, to a freed slave of Maymuna radiallahu anha. Okay? Maymuna radiallahu anha. So look, when a person frees a slave, think about it. You get the name. So this is how Rasulullah encouraged, the deen, Islam encouraged to free slaves. Because when you free a slave, you become known as the Mawla. Mawla means the one that you freed that person. You understand? You freed that person from slavery. So it gives you an honorific title that you've done something good. And it must be acknowledged in Islam. Okay? That you're a Mawla of someone. So the freed slave, the female freed slave of Maymuna radiallahu anha, she was given a female sheep. That died. It passed away. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, هَلَّا أَخَذْتُمْ إِهَابَهَا فَدَبَغْتُمُوهُ فَانْتَفَعْتُمْ بِهِ. Why don't you take the hide, the skin of the animal, and tan it and take benefit from it? Rasulullah is saying, after he's seeing the animal, the sheep dead sheep, the female dead sheep, he's saying, take the hide of the animal, the skin of the animal, tan it, and use it, take benefit from it. So they thought, innaha maita, it is dead, meaning they thought you can't use any part of the animal if it's dead. It's dead, is dead. You can't use any part of the animal. Whereas here Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, innama haruma akluha. Verily, eating it is haram. Eating a dead animal is haram. But to use the skin and to tan it will become pure. You can use the skin. The skin is completely allowed. The wool, the skin is completely allowed. Rawahu Muslim. Hadith is in Muslim Sharif. وعنه, so وعنه refers to Ibn Abbas رضي الله عنه, previous hadith. قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إذا دبغ الإهاب فقد طهر. رواه مسلم. If the hide, if the skin of an animal is tanned, then it becomes pure. Then it becomes pure. This hadith is also in Muslim Sharif. So definitely authentic. وعن ميمونة رضي الله عنه قال مر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بشاة يجرونها فقال لو أخذتم إهابها فقالوا إنها ميتة قال يطهرها الماء والقرض. رواه أبو داود والنسائي وآخرون وصححه ابن سكن والحاكم. Ibn Sakan and Hakim, they said this hadith is authentic. It is narrated in Abu Dawud and Nasa'i, and many others also reported this hadith. On the authority of Maymuna radiallahu anha, Rasulullah was passing by a sheep that was being dragged. A sheep that was being dragged, meaning a sheep that was dead, basically. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, why don't you take the hide, the skin of the sheep, and benefit from it? They said, it's dead. It's a dead animal. Rasulullah said, the water and the leaves that is used to tan the skin of the sheep, it will purify the skin of the sheep. So meaning you can use the skin of the dead animal. You can use the skin of the dead animal as long as it's tanned. As long as it's tanned. And here, qarab, here refers to leaves. Now, which type of leaves? Generally, in the footnotes, he's given us Mimosa flava, Mimosa nilotica, and Acacia nilotica. Is that how you say it? Acacia nilotica. So all these are used for tanning and purifying the skin of the animal to make it pure. That should be fine as well. Be fine. As long as the impurities are taken out, doesn't matter what happens. Nowadays it's machinery. Most of leather and everything is machinery. So here in Morocco they do it physically there. I've seen it there. MashaAllah. رواه أبو داود والنسائي وآخرون وصححه ابن السكن والحاكم. وعن سلمة بن المحبط رضي الله عنه أو محبط رضي الله عنه أن نبي الله صلى الله عليه وسلم دعا بماء من قربة عند امرأة فقالت إنها ميتة فقال ألست قد دبغتها قالت بلى قال دباغها ذكاتها. رواه أحمد وآخرون وإسناده صحيح. Here the chain is authentic, is according to Ibn Hajar in his Talkhis. Now, here, what's the hadith? The hadith is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam called for some water to be brought. So, the water was brought in a leather skin. Leather skin, meaning the animal skin was brought. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Back in the days, they used to use leather skin for water. Why? Because it used to keep it cool in the deserts. To keep it cool in the deserts. It's like a pouch. Instead of a water bottle, it's like a pouch. Okay? Leather pouch. So in that, they would put the water in. So this woman, she said, she gave the leather pouch of water, and she said, verily it is from a dead animal. Meaning this leather that is used is from a dead animal. Then Rasulullah replied, haven't you tanned it before you made it into a leather pouch? Pouch. Qala bala. She said, yes, sure. I had to tan it before making it into a water vessel. Qala dibaghuha zakatuha. Tanning it is the same as slaughtering it. in the halal way, of course. Tanning it is the same as slaughtering it, meaning tanning takes away the impurities. That's what it means here. Okay, just like when you slaughter an animal, it becomes halal for you to eat. Likewise, when you tan the skin of an animal, it becomes halal for you to use. That's the meaning there. Rawahu Ahmad, Imam Ahmad has narrated it. وآخرون وإسناده صحيح. We said Ibn Hajar in his Talkhis. Yes. وعن عبد الله بن عكيم رضي الله عنه قال كتب إلينا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So all these hadiths are showing that the tanning of the skin of an animal, whether alive, whether it's dead, even if it's dead, whether it's a halal animal or a haram animal, it's completely permissible. It's completely allowed and permissible. وعن عبد الله بن عكيم رضي الله عنه قال كتب إلينا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قبل وفاته بشهر ألا تنتفعوا من الميتة بإهاب ولا عصب رواه الخمسة وهو معلول بالانقطاع والاضطراب. Subhanallah, look at this hadith. This hadith, firstly, the problem is Abdullah ibn Ukaym, we don't know if he's a Sahabi or not. Some say that he's a Sahabi, some say he's not a Sahabi. So that's the first problem. Okay? He's narrating it directly from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Kataba ilayna Rasulullah. That Rasulullah, he wrote to us 1 month before he passed away that do not take benefit from the dead animal's skin that is tanned. Wala asab, nor any like joints, bone joints basically. Yeah, that's what it is, tendons. So here, the hadith is reported in 5 books, but it is problematic and it is not authentic. Which books are they narrated in? Abu Dawud, Nasa'i, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, and Imam Ahmad's book. And this hadith is highly problematic. It's narrated in 5 books, but it's not practiced upon. Imagine the problem in this hadith. A person who goes into the books of hadith and he finds this hadith and he says, oh, this hadith is in this book, this book, this book, this book, this book. It must be authentic. I have to follow it. And look at the meaning. 1 month before Rasulullah passed away, he said this to us, that you can't benefit from. He's going to take this to be authentic. But the ulama says otherwise. Imam Nawawi says very clearly here, there's a problem with the sanad as well as the matan. Problem in the matan itself as well as the sanad. Inshallah, we continue next week from the next chapter.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله